has ramped up raids across the country. It's part of President Trump's push to deport migrants accused of violent crimes, the people the administration describes as the worst of the worst. But after months of aggressive action, new ICE data obtained by NBC News shows the agency has arrested only a small fraction of undocumented immigrants already known to have been convicted of crimes like sexual assault and homicide. NBC News senior Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley has more.
Good morning, Joe. So we are able to look at two ICE data sets. One we've obtained exclusively that gives a fuller picture into the problem that the Trump administration said it would solve by these mass deportations when they came into office. In September, the ICE under the Biden administration told Congress there were over 400,000 immigrants at large that were not detained by ICE that had criminal convictions. And of those, 13,000 of those, over 13,000, had known homicide convictions. At the time, then candidate Trump seized on that and criticized the Biden administration for not doing more on immigration, and they continued to vow to go after the worst of the worst. Well, we understand that since that point, ICE has arrested over 185,000 immigrants. That includes some arrested under the Biden administration, but only 752 of those had homicide convictions. In fact, only over 65,000 of those had any kind of serious criminal conviction, and that includes immigration violations and traffic violations. So what this data shows altogether is that if you're concerned about immigration as a national security or public safety threat, it is actually not the vast arrest, the ones that we've seen across the country where people are being tackled to the ground. A lot of questions coming up now about ICE tactics. It's not clear that those tactics and the mass arrest and the increase in ICE enforcement is actually making a large dent when it comes to the numbers of known threats to ICE. And I talked to some ICE officials, current and former, about why that is. When we've seen so many people be arrested, ICE detention is at record capacity now, near 60,000 people, even though they're only funded for 41,000. Why is it that more of these hardened criminals, known murderers, have not been arrested? And what I'm told is that it's much harder to find people who have committed crimes. And in fact, some of the investigators from Homeland Security Investigations have been pulled off those cases to go make arrests in the streets. They're getting the numbers up. As you know, Stephen Miller told ICE officials in mid-May to increase ICE arrest no matter who it was, not just going after people with criminal convictions. They've also made the argument that anyone in this country illegally is a criminal. Even if they cross the border legally, if they no longer have legal status, they should be criminalized. But I think when you're able to look at these categories and see how many people were arrested by category, it's worth having a conversation about whether or not the tactics are actually achieving the goal of going after the worst of the worst. And so simply what this data does is it holds the Trump administration accountable on a key campaign issue as we continue to see these arrests ramp up across the country and in many cases cause protests like the ones we're seeing in Los Angeles.